It's loading right now, Mayor. Okay, we're good.
All right, great. Let's go ahead and get this meeting started. It's 6:01 on the 12th of July. This is going to be a hybrid city council meeting of Lake Stevens City Council. And we are at the Mill here in downtown Lake Stevens, as well as online on Zoom. So with that, I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Deputy Clerk Weaver, can you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Daughtry.
Present.
Councilmember Peter Shagan.
Present.
Councilmember Frederick. Councilmember Dickinson.
Present.
Councilmember Jorstad. Council President Ewing.
Present.
Councilmember Tagent.
Present.
Excellent. Can I get a motion to excuse council members Frederick and Jorstad?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And President, can we get an agenda, please?
Yes. Any amendments or subtractions from the agenda as written?
Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't hear Councilmember Tagent.
Aye.
Okay. Great, thanks, President. So with that, let's move forward to citizens' comments. And how we do citizens' comments is we allow 3 minutes for citizens to address the city council. And you can do so either via the Zoom link or here in person as well. Deputy Clerk Weaver, do we have anybody online who wishes to provide citizen comments?
I don't see any hands up. Anyone who's online in the audience, if you'd raise a digital hand, if you'd like to speak. I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, excellent. And then is there anybody, green sheets? Are there any green sheets?
I didn't get any green sheets.
Okay, so with that, we'll go past citizens' comments and move to council business. Council President.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Went to the senior center board meeting yesterday. They served 383 meals and have had more than 500 volunteer hours in the last month. Tonight at the senior center, Amy Wheat, opioid outreach specialist, will be teaching about the use of Narcan in saving people from overdoses. Sadly, an issue for seniors. This training will be done twice a year. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Tagent.
Nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Peter Shagan.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Daughtry.
We had a great time at 4th of July downtown. Pretty good outing there. Lots of people. It was hot or cold as you wanted it. Just changed all the time. Didn't really know what you're going to do. I don't think it rained, but it might have. Hopefully we'll have a better time next year, and just let everybody know Aquafest is coming, and so that everybody knows there are no rides. I'm tired of the emails. No, there's no rides. That's it.
Okay, so we're going to continue the meeting until we have rise.
Okay, so let's continue.
All right.
I got my hat here. Let me see. Nope, no rides.
I guess I don't have anything to say other than I appreciate the communication between the city staff and our consultants and the council with regard to the transportation benefit district efforts that are going on there. And that's going to be part of our agenda today, but it's been a lot of collaborative effort. So I appreciate that. Okay.
Great. Good comments. I don't have a whole lot. Just want to thank everyone for a pretty safe 4th of July. It was a good event across the city, very well attended, and lots going on. And As we move after tonight's meeting, we are in a recess. And I just hope that council members are able to relax and spend some time with family and come back in the early fall and get things moving. And of course, we'll all enjoy the rides at Aquafest during that time.
Yep, all those rides.
So with that, let's move to city department reports. Russ, do you have something for us?
Sure. At a council meeting a few weeks ago, council members had asked about an update on our recreation events that we're doing. So I had staff put together a memo that just showed the activities that we've either as a city have hosted or co-sponsored throughout the year, and the private events. We also included the sports and other venues that we're doing through concession agreements this year. So any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Yeah, I noticed that you put Aquafest on it. Could you put a little bit of an amendment on there, say there's no rides?
I'll have that on the website.
Any questions, they can contact you.
Any questions, contact the mayor.
Please do. I'll be on a ride.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
I know Aquafest is our signature event, but there is a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes, including Councilmember Daughtry and his efforts. So hundreds of volunteer hours. It's just a great community event. Thousands of people come to participate.
Oh, we saw it.
Especially nice with the setup we have with the Festival Street being almost, I think Aaron said we're going to have power to that for Aquafest.
That's correct.
Yes, we are, aren't we, Aaron?
Can I make a comment real quick? Councilman Tajan here. The pickleball tournament has over 200 people signed up at this point, which makes it one of the bigger events in the Puget Sound region. So thanks to Councilmember Daughtry for all of his work on that too. But we're very excited to have such a huge tournament here in Lake Stevens. It's a big deal.
Well, that's real nice, Marcus. Thank you very much. But you're the one that put it all together. So thank you for bringing pickleball to Lake Stevens.
Right back into it.
Very cool. Okay, that was the public, the PDR is just for public, for reading, right?
Yep, it's just for the council to read. It's just statistics that we reported for 2021. It's our JLARC report, and it's just data for you to see all the public records requests we've done and the different pieces of them.
Yeah. So notice it takes a FTE plus to get through our public records requests.
Mr. May I ask a question on that? I was just curious. The individuals, there's 948, I think the number was.
488.
480. Is that coming from kind of broad spectrum of citizens and such, or is it coming from a few select individuals?
That's a really good question. I think in what I've observed in the short time I've been here is that it is a large group of citizens. We have some that are more active than others. But I'd say there is a broad spectrum and a lot of different reasons why they're requesting the data. But yes, we do have some, more frequent requesters.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then we want to hear from the chief on, I guess we do have a little fireworks.
Yes, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm going to try to share my screen and show a video real quick of some of the stuff that we've dealt with. I think. Let's see. It says share screen, so. Oh, you disabled, it says disable participant screen sharing.
Oh.
As they're working on that, I just want to let the council know that we responded to 122 incidences during the 4th of July from 0500 to 0500 from the 4th to 0500 on the 5th. That includes 7 officers responding to those 222 events. One of them was a serious event that was a stabbing that occurred. I'm hoping, well, it isn't. So it's showing my desktop, but I can't show the video. Hold on a second here. Troy, how do I get the? It says I'm hearing. Yeah, I did. There we go. So here's a video. For the people that are not familiar with this, this is Caballero Ridge down on the southwest corner of Lake Stevens. On the night of the 4th, we had a neighborhood that decided to do their own pyrotechnic show of fireworks. The buildings or the housing, that if you're not familiar with it, are about 10 feet apart from each other. There's probably, I would say, 80 homes that are in this development. So this gentleman decided to get his own fireworks show with the neighborhood and set this off. This was going off for probably about 20 minutes. It's going over the neighborhood, causing damage to people's property, down the street, right in the back of the neighborhood. Received numerous complaints from it. So I'm working with local agencies to take over the case because of conflict of interest within our agency. They're going to be doing some investigations with it with the fire marshal's office. I'm working with the Snohomish County Fire Marshals, trying to do the investigation. We have problems with pyrotechnics, no license storage of these. They were stored in the residence for about 6 to 8 months right now is what we're finding out. So that's a big concern for us, is what else is out there in our city, what people are storing. I have another complaint of another storage unit that private residence is doing with pyrotechnic fireworks too. So, but you can see how bad this is and how bad it could have been. We had one resident that their grass started on fire. He put it out. I have 2 neighbors complaining of damage to their cars, but it's hard to prove because the fireworks are spreading out. How do I know which fireworks it came from? So, show you some photos. Just some of the stuff that they shot off. This is, hopefully you can see it. Sorry if it's, yeah. This is in front of the residence where they're doing their, yeah, I can zoom here like this, show you kind of what they're doing here, all the fireworks. Let's see if I can go back here. Damage the cars. This is the first pallet of fireworks that they launched off, all tied together with string for safety reasons, is what they said. There's the second pile of fireworks that was displayed, and there's the largest amount of fireworks off their final show. So this brings great concern to us as a community and as a law enforcement agency in the fire marshal's office, and what danger we're putting our public into. We responded to 12 fireworks complaints over the 24-hour period. That's not including everything before the 4th of July that we had to respond to.
Jeff, you have the overhead picture of what the neighborhood looks like?
Yep, I have the drone footage. Oh, let me get back here. Try to get into the drone footage here of this one right here. Get up. Just trying to bring it up, but there we go. This is what the neighborhood looks like. This is one of the neighbor's drone footage that he obtained when this stuff started happening. This is the 1400 to 1500 block of 72nd Avenue Southeast. And this shows you how close the residences are. You can see the 3 piles off in the right-hand corner in front of the residences, where they have them laid out on 72nd Avenue Southeast and all the forest and everything around there that they were going off over. That's an MPGA protected area. This goes on for quite a while, Mayor. I'll just cut it short there to show you kind of what they're looking at.
Okay.
Council have any questions, or the mayor have any questions?
Question, the 122, how does that compare to previous years?
It was down from 2021. We had 184 in 2021, and 2020 we had 160. So,
Can you quantify those calls? I mean, obviously stabbing. I saw the lights and sirens go by my place. I assume that was the time of that incident. Do you categorize those incidents, and how did the seriousness of the incidents this year compare to previous years?
well, we had the stabbing, which is, we didn't have one of those in the past. But the normal things that we usually end up with are the domestics, the behavioral health, dealing with those things, and a DUI. We ended up catching the DUI too. And those things take, 1 to 3 hours. That stabbing took over 4.5 hours to process the scene minimum. So you can tell that our resources are then cut thin.
I have a question. This is Councilman Tagent. Chief, those fireworks appeared to be illegal. Those weren't the ones that people can purchase legally in the city of Lake Stevens, correct? Those are all illegal fireworks. Is that correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so it didn't have anything to do with those people who were firing off the legal ones, which you can purchase legally. These people went rogue and went and got illegal fireworks. Is that correct?
Well, the stuff that I have right now, yes, but I'm not sure if they're selling up at the stands and stuff like that. So that's all the question of what are they selling at the stands? And
I don't
how,
know the stands sell that stuff. I was just curious if these were legal or illegal in nature.
yeah, they're all illegal. Anything that goes up in a pyrotechnic display like that is illegal.
Okay, great. I'm just curious if these were all legal or illegal. It sounds like they were all illegal fireworks then, correct?
So if you could clarify for me again, we've had a brief discussion before the council meeting, and I asked you how many tickets were written, and you indicated that you don't write tickets because the way our ordinance is written. Can you explain a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different in Snohomish County. Sometimes we have to do what's called a super form, depending on what court we're writing into. If we write into our municipal court, most of the time we can't write a ticket and issue it, but it'll be run through the prosecutor's office to review. The other part, we go to a district court, which this would have to fall under a district court because of conflict of interest. It has to go to the prosecutor's office on the super form, have to be reviewed by a prosecutor, then filed for charges. So we just don't necessarily just scratch out a ticket and hand it to the person. We have to follow up, do some paperwork, and then issue the ticket through the courts.
So what avenue would allow you to, when an officer sees someone discharging illegal fireworks, what would be the avenue to cite that person and give a ticket for a fine?
You can do a civil infraction, so it allows us to do it right there on the spot and handle the civil infraction with a penalty on it, and then that goes through the courts.
So the super form is a charging form
Charging document.
for criminal charges versus a civil, you could just write a ticket.
Okay, so I guess what's the easiest path for us to issue citations, which would monetarily make it painful for somebody to discharge fireworks like this?
Civil infractions. But depending on the penalty, I mean, there's a lot of violations here that could be very dangerous. So.
Right. But I'm guessing he probably wasn't the only one throughout the city that was doing that.
No, criminal investigation.
Just a guess on my part. Okay, so I guess is there something that we can do as far as enforcement with our fireworks legislation that would make it a little more painful for people to continue with this activity?
It all comes down to, with fireworks, we either have it the way we have it, or all of them are completely banned. Because to expect an officer to go, oh, he bought that at the stand up at Safeway versus a Boom City. That is just, so it's either all or none when it comes to fireworks.
And then you still have to enforce
And then you still have to enforce it.
Yeah, the identifications are because of the disposal of evidence, right? They're firing off the firework. How do we know what the end result of it is? Unless you have a storage box. And luckily, when I went around and took some photos of that the next day, I had the boxes of storage, so you can identify the stuff that they discharge. But like the mayor says, it's hard because they're already firing off the evidence, blowing up the packaging. So.
There's other jurisdictions that obviously write tickets. Marysville is one of them. And I guess I would like to pursue some discussions as to how we can maybe tighten this up a little bit, because it's, King County is now taking the approach, King County, not the cities, that fireworks are illegal. Pierce County, I believe, is next year, if not already. And if anything, as more of these jurisdictions prohibit fireworks, guess where they're coming? Where they can light them off. And I don't really want to be known as Fireworks Central here on 4th of July around Puget Sound area, but it's kind of headed that way. So I would encourage that.
We did have an advisory vote. We can't forget that. But at the same time, I certainly was thinking of our police department all during the 4th of July and what they must be going through. So, yeah, back home in Pennsylvania, we had a wonderful firework display that the whole city went to. Nobody did fireworks at their house or in their neighborhood, nobody. And it was phenomenal. It was memorable. And they have been doing that since 1817, just want you to know. But it is an amazing experience to see that kind of fireworks. So I'm not anti-fireworks. It's just, this is so dangerous, especially with houses and trees and, you know, what if it's a dry time? Oh my goodness. You know, there's so many potential damages and injuries that can happen. So first of all, I salute the police. Well done. But that's all I just have to say. I'm done.
Okay, anything else, Chief?
No.
All right, let's move forward then into consent agenda. Can I get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. We'll move into public hearing, which is 29 East right away. Public hearing, Melissa.
Thank you. Melissa Place, Senior Planner with the City. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a consideration for right-of-way vacation on a portion of 29th Street Northeast. If you recall, I brought this to you back in June, and there was an introduction in June, and this evening we are just doing a public hearing and then asking council to take action on approving the ordinance that's the draft is attached to the staff report. I think I have a presentation we're pulling up real quick. It's a very brief presentation, so I'll wait and see if I can pull this up here. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I can continue and then we can flash back to it. So just a summary, the right-of-way vacation request is for that small portion of 29th Street Northeast. It's about 215 square feet of right-of-way. And that portion would go back to the school district property. The school district did already dedicate about 5,870 square feet to the city. And what it does, this road is a connection basically from the Soper Hill commercial development through to Lake Drive, and that provides, thank you, the map. Yep, right, perfect. Okay, so this map is the aerial showing the portion where the right-of-way vacation is occurring, and then that through connection that occurs from that compact roundabout over to the east side of where the existing street is developed in front of the school, and it would finalize that connection. So it does provide a vehicular and pedestrian access to the school and to Lake Drive as part of that. This vacation area is not needed for future road use, as the dedicated area fully encompasses all of the frontage improvements. So process-wise, a right-of-way vacation is a type 5 permit process, which is quasi-judicial. The vacation was initiated by council when we brought it to you in June, thank you, through resolution number 2022-09. And then public notice of the proposed vacation public hearing was published after the June initiation, and we also posted it in accordance with city code. So as I said, I would make this brief. In conclusion, the proposal has met the procedural noticing requirements per the city code, that the proposal does meet the criteria for right-of-way vacations that are found in our city code. There's more analysis in the staff report, as I'm sure you already saw that. And then the city's public works department, per the code, is required to verify location, survey, and legal description. And they did do that, and that was determined accurate. And so our recommendation to council tonight next is to hold the public hearing and approve the proposed right-of-way vacation by adoption of the draft ordinance number 1142 that's part of the staff report. And then I'm happy to take any questions you might have on it. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
Okay.
Not hearing any, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for public comments on just this right-of-way vacation public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to provide public comments on just this hearing? Anybody online?
I don't see any hands raised online.
Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearings portion of the hearing, comments portion of the hearing. Any further comments, Melissa?
No, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, any questions by staff? Any deliberation by staff?
staff work.
or by council members. Your council
I hope
members,
they've
their
already
staff.
deliberated.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and look for an action from the council.
Move to approve ordinance 1142.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, we have a passing of that motion.
So now that that's over, can I ask a question?
You may.
It has nothing to do with that, but it has something to do with Silver Hill. When are we opening up Silver Hill?
July 17th. Is that still it?
My understanding right now, based on the word from the contract, is the 18th, July 18th. And Aaron, do you have any other?
That's correct. It's July 18th. I'm sorry.
Before the end of the month.
I've heard that before. Okay, great.
Me too.
Okay,
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. We had so many seconds. Who was the second on that?
I heard Marcus. is the
Marcus
second.
first? Okay,
You can
thank you.
choose any of the.
We all second.
Everyone was very helpful.
All right, let's move to action item A, Transportation Benefit District Resolution 2022-10 and ballot documents.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to introduce a resolution and an explanatory statement and discuss those with regard to a TBD sales and use tax. So I'll give you a brief history, describe the projects that are proposed, and let you do the work of reviewing and considering for approval the resolution and so forth. So the City Council adopted Ordinance 1043 back in December of 2018, creating the Lake Stevens Transportation Benefit District. In 2019, the City Council assumed the responsibilities. At the recent retreat, council retreat, the council directed staff to prepare a ballot measure for the community to consider a local sales tax increase to fund a variety of transportation improvements, believing that this is the most equitable tax for residents and visitors alike, impacting roads while shopping and receiving services. The proposed tax is 0.2%. Earlier in the year, the city conducted a community survey to better understand and gain public input on the proposed tax increase. And over the past several council meetings, staff have provided the council with specific funding forecasts, several project model funding lists or project lists and models, prioritization strategies and prioritization strategies. Staff has recommended that the TBD proceeds be used for the street preservation fund. And the suggestion is $500,000 a year just for pavement preservation. And the remainder would be used for sidewalk, walkway, trail construction and roadway construction projects. Those projects are listed in the resolution. There are 20 sidewalk projects, and that list can contract and expand if costs come in high or low. There are 3 roadway projects, and you'll see in that list that there is $500,000 set aside for pavement preservation. The sales and use tax proceeds are estimated to be $19 million to be received over the 10-year period. If approved, the ballot measure will be forwarded to Snohomish County for inclusion in the November 2022 general election. Lastly, the city of Lake Stevens has the responsibility for recruiting and appointing members to a committee that will write a statement supporting yes, pro committee, and a committee that will write a statement supporting no, con. Committees are allowed to have up to 3 members. Staff will begin the recruitment process immediately after the passage of the resolution. With the council's approval, the mayor and or the council president will select the names for the committee members to be included in the materials due to the election office on August 2nd, 2022. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Aaron, did we update the cost estimates on this since the last 2 weeks?
Some of them have
On
been
the
updated.
project?
Yes, some have been updated.
You done? Yep. Aaron, you noted $500,000 is going to be allocated for pavement preservation through this bond. That's in addition to the 450,000 we're presently spending per year, correct?
That's correct. It's 400,000.
400,000.
So it'd be a $900,000 pavement preservation budget each
Okay,
year.
great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if there's no questions, can we get a motion?
I'll move to approve resolution 2022-10.
Second.
We have a motion to approve resolution 2022-10 and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Good work on that. There's a lot of work that's been put together on that, and I think we've got a good product to show the citizens and gives them the opportunity to see which way they want to go. Let's move forward to discussion items. Storage Facilities Code Amendment Introduction. Jill.
Mr. Mayor,
Great. Not Jill.
I'm sorry, City Attorney here. Could we have council approval of the action that would allow the mayor and or the council president to appoint the pro-con committee members and to approve the explanatory statement?
Not part of the resolution.
Was that,
Those are not included in the resolution. Those are additional actions that need to be taken.
so we need to do a separate motion on those?
Right, yes, you could combine the two, the pro-con committee and the explanatory statement in one motion. That's if
Okay,
you want. So the motion would be to approve the proposed explanatory statement and to authorize the mayor with the council president to appoint persons to the pro-con committee for the ballot measure.
Has the statement been written?
Yes, I think it's included in your agenda packet.
Yeah.
I think it's the last document in your agenda packet. The statute requires that the explanatory statement either be written and or approved by the city attorney. I drafted it, but I think it's an important feature of the ballot measure, and so it'd be good to have the council approve that statement before it goes into the voters pamphlet.
I just missed it in the packet. It's my fault.
Okay.
So Greg, just to make sure, clarify here, so we're approving the explanatory statement, and then the second part is to approve the mayor and or council president to appoint 3 persons with the pro and con committee. Is that correct?
right.
That's correct.
And you can combine that into one motion.
Yes. Get a motion on that?
So I move to approve the explanatory statement for the voters pamphlet and to allow the mayor and or the council president to appoint 3 people to the nay and 3 people to the yay on the voter pamphlets.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Greg. Keep
All right,
us,
thank you, council.
Jill, now you're up.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. I had a brief presentation lined up tonight. It doesn't look like I am allowed to share my screen. Not sure why.
Okay, Jill, you should be able to do that now.
It's still giving me that same error. Okay, there we are. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep, we can
Yeah,
see
we
it.
have it.
Perfect. Okay, so today we're introducing, or rather bringing back, the Storage Facilities Code Amendment. The purpose of today's meeting is going to be to summarize the previous work that Council and the Planning Mission have completed, and gather some initial feedback on the proposed scope of this new standalone code amendment. And then at the conclusion of this presentation, I will be discussing our next steps and the scope and schedule for this one. So you might recall that the Storage Facilities Amendment was originally included last year within the Permissible Uses Code Amendment. And we had held a public hearing actually in October of last year. So what we heard from Council then was that the original economic analysis that would have been proposed was a little bit too subjective in nature. So we removed that part and then proposed a square footage cap, a requirement to be multi-story, and then a minimum lot size of 2 acres. So instead, Council decided to remove that storage facility section altogether from that Permissible Uses Code Amendment and then bring it back this year as a standalone amendment, which is why we're back today. So I prepared a little map for you guys, just showing the zones that storage facilities are currently allowed in, which is the general industrial zone shown in dark blue, the light industrial zone, which is shown in light blue, the local business zone, that's a little bit hard to see, but that's shown in pink, and then one commercial, or the commercial zoning district that is outside the sub area that is shown in red. And currently that's only the Silver Hill project, although there is no storage facility developments planned there. So altogether there are 9 existing according to our research, and then 1 is being proposed at the corner of Grade Road and SR 92, which is marked there with the green pin. So this use, it does have a tendency to occupy a pretty large amount of land and generates very few jobs. For example, the one that I'm reviewing right now only proposes to have 1 or 2 staff members on duty at a time. And according to our comprehensive plan, we're facing an employment deficit of at least 1,100 jobs when looking toward our 2044 target. So the Urban 3 report that was prepared a month ago analyzed some of that land consumptive nature of storage uses. And those are found to be less productive than other types of active uses such as retail, offices, and even manufacturing. So for this project, let's change the slide there. So for this project, we hope to tackle the following issues, which these issues are also in the staff report as well under the scope. So we do want to select the appropriate zoning districts for future storage facilities, also providing clear and objective development and design standards. We want to address the city's employment needs, keeping our 2044 targets in mind. Also clarifying what standards will be applicable in what zoning districts. And then differentiating personal storage facilities and warehouse storage facilities, the latter of which is permitted in the commercial district zone inside subareas. So tonight we are requesting your preliminary feedback. Our existing regulations can be found in attachment 1 of your packet. We've begun reviewing some code language from several similar local jurisdictions. Linwoods have stuck out to us in particular, so we've included that as attachment 2. We have 2 questions to guide our discussion tonight, which are shown on the slide there in bolds. Afterwards, we plan on getting some draft language for Planning Commission to take a look at later this summer. So for now, Russ or Dave, did you have anything you'd like to add before we bring it to questions?
No comments.
Okay. Mayor and Council, do you have any questions regarding the presentation before we jump into the discussion items?
I got a question. So Is the one that you're reviewing, the one off Grade Road, is that the one that you're currently reviewing?
Correct.
Okay. Do we know, is there any way for us to know what the current capacity is of the storage units? Like, I know it's kind of like a business things. I'm looking at how much demand there is for the city for that, given that we have tiny lots. There's not really a lot of space for people to store things. And also what kind of sales tax revenue, I don't know that we're allowed to verify that, but my understanding is that sales tax is paid on the cost of a storage unit. Is that correct?
I believe that we're only getting property tax. I will confer with finance though, if there's any sales tax that comes from rental of those facilities, but I believe it's just the property tax at this point.
Okay.
And we can look at different or see.
Yeah, I guess for me, it'd be helpful to know what if there's a metrics like the law enforcement uses for, calls per number of citizens or number of staff for the number of residents. If there's something with storage units to kind of help us understand, to guide us in determining what direction we go with this.
The proponent for the Grade Road project did pay for an outside study on how much storage units should be necessary in Lake Stevens. In other words, what the usage would be per capita type thing. I have a copy of that report. I think you got a copy of that too, didn't you, Russ? So I don't know if we want that to, be put out to reading from the council. I mean,
Yeah, if we could access that and redisseminate that, because I do recall the applicant sharing that during public comment for that. But
and it was interesting how much in deficit we are according to their studies, and it was done by a company that does those for self-storage. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt, I guess, but at the same time, it does give you some good numbers. So I don't know if that's something that's appropriate or not, but I've read through it and it was interesting. I don't have any problems with what has been brought forward to us at this point. The limiting of facilities in zones, I think, in different zones is a good thing to look at. I don't have a problem with that. And the other issue we really have in the city is we're almost out of land. So what are we really going to do? And, going 2-3 stories with a storage facility, okay, great. That helps a little bit. So I'm still interested in seeing where the planning commission takes this. I know they've already had one meeting on it. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what they've got to say still. But I don't have a problem with where we're going with it right now.
Well, it looks like the preliminary discussion is to further restrict or ban storage units. And if that's something that's beneficial to our citizens, I would want to be really thoughtful and deliberate before taking such drastic action.
I don't think the recommendation is to further prohibit it. It's just to define the standards that are a little ambiguous at this point on where they're allowed. In some cases, it might actually expand it by taking a look at the specific code section we have now. It's just limited to local business. And so this actually would refine that and potentially open that up to greater areas. But
yeah, the planning commission wanted to ban them in certain areas or restrict them in certain areas. They weren't trying to ban them outright.
Okay.
I just want to say that one thing that has me concerned about that location is it is within a floodplain, I believe.
The Great Road.
Yeah, I believe it is.
it's not.
It's not. Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly my point.
I think I might
Yes, you are.
Okay, that was just a test question there. Okay.
So I don't know, Jill, a question for me is also the maximum 25% of a project site. And help me understand what the thought is on that limitation.
Yeah, so that was part of the original 2017 storage facility code amendment. However, the language there doesn't make it absolute. So in other words, it doesn't really have any teeth. So Planning Commission was generally supportive of replacing the word may to shall, just to make it a more stringent requirement.
Yeah, I see the challenge. If it's a minimum of 2 acres and you can only build on 25% of that, so you have 20,000 square feet, that you can put the facility on that. That would seem like a de facto ban, with that code revision. So I'd like to see what that looks like in other areas, including the existing facilities that we have. Joe, do you know the one on Grade Road, what percentage of that property is taken up by the storage facility?
So there's several wetlands on that property, but most of the developable site is the storage facility and its parking lot.
So I guess another question. So the facility that's on Highway 204, across from the sewer district, would that be allowable with the current proposed changes?
So I believe that would be, that's in our commercial zoning district, the red zone on our zoning map. So that wouldn't be allowed because that's in the sub area at all.
Can I offer a correction?
Yes.
The site on 204, the Storage Quest, that was the last facility built. That was actually built under this code after this code was developed. So it is entirely consistent with the code. And again, the measure there is 25% of the zone. So it's not just that parcel, it's all of the surrounding parcels. And the original idea of the Planning Commission, when that was adopted several years ago, again, it gets to the land deficit and the employment deficit that we've described in consistency with the comp plan, which actually our comprehensive plan is the guiding document that says we shouldn't have land consumptive uses. So trying to find a way to put a cap on that is where that 25% came from, to still allow people an opportunity to do different land uses, but also follow our comprehensive plan that sets some limitations on that type of a use. So short answer, yes, the Storage Quest facility is consistent with this code. And I don't believe, unless the zoning were changed, that it would also not be consistent moving forward.
Okay.
So point of clarification, you said that it's 25% of the zone, not the parcel.
Today, that's the way the language is written
But we're
today.
trying to take it to the parcel.
Yes, just for greater efficiency of implementation, because that has brought up questions. For example, you asked about the Grade Road site, and the answer to that question is also yes, it does comply with the code that it's less than 25% of the zoned area, which is a larger contiguous area. There are also the wetland areas that comprise that site. So mathematically, yes, it does meet that formula.
So glad to hear it's not a floodplain, thank you. But would it impact Catherine Creek in any way? I'm sure we would be looking at that.
That project as designed doesn't impact Catherine Creek. Catherine Creek is quite a ways to the east of that site.
Right, I know. It's underground, I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments for staff?
I guess the only thing I would add is that, I appreciate the thought that's been put into it and the consideration from other cities that I think Lake Stevens is pretty unique in terms of just our topography and our layout. So I'd like to make sure that we do what's best for our citizens and the need that is there for that. I mean, I can tell you my next door neighbor has 3 storage units because their home is relatively small. And they just have other things. And so I'm sure they're not the only ones at Lake Stevens with multiple storage units.
Any other comments? All right, perfect. Jill, thank you for your work on this, and we'll look forward to what you're coming back with. Let's move forward to the executive session. So we are going to have an executive session on collective bargaining. There's not going to be any action to follow. So for those in the audience, we're going to adjourn for, what do we need? 20-ish, 20 minutes? 10 minutes? 10? All right. We're going to adjourn for 10 minutes. Let's call it 15. 15 minutes. And when we come back, there will be no action to follow. So we'll essentially adjourn the meeting. So to stick around, you can, but we ask you to exit this room because we use this as the executive session. Thank you for coming.
Okay, so we are back.
Are we on? Okay. So we are back. No, after the executive session, no action to follow. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Have a great summer and great time off and spend time with the neighbors and the family.